Oh my gosh, I am so excited to dive in with a very special guest today. Oh my gosh, this is a special treat. So I have with us today Eyenie, and this is someone who we've been connected now for probably 4 or 5 years. And I personally worked with Eyenie some time back as I was really coming back into my personal style. And it's been an incredibly healing journey to really return back to and get in touch with who I am at my essence. And of course, so much of my work centers around helping people to get in touch with that essence. But Egenie's work really helps people to do so through fashion, through how you style yourself, how you express yourself. And I'm so excited to have you. Could you share a little bit with us about your work and how you got started?
Yes, yeah, I am so giddy to be here. So thank you for inviting me. Yay! You're talking about my favorite subjects of all time. So so I call myself Technicolor Priestess because that is my most iconic self. And through the entry point of clothing, and I call it's like a mashup of fashion and energetics. That's how I help others enter sort of the first step into really embodying the truth of their essence, being cosmically connected. So it's like, I see like the outfits as kind of like the initial attunement, which is really amazing. I can drop F-bombs, right?
Yes, of course.
Because it's really fucking cool because something seemingly so superficial and people consider frivolous. I always loved fashion. I always loved style, but I understood that something different happened when people dressed a certain way or saw themselves in a certain way. And I realized early on that I could sort of see the tweaks or see where they were holding back, and I could help them make those adjustments. And for the longest time, I thought, because I was also sort of silencing my essence, trying to keep it under wraps, I thought it was superficial. I thought it was silly. I thought it was fluffy until I did it, until I did the work on myself and realized this is actually energetic, this is spiritual, this is connecting people. This is like the bridge to get to truth, to people's like most cosmic iteration, which is what excites the frick frack out of me, out of even more than the clothing. It's like where you can take yourself all the way, and this is just like the entry point, the entry portal, so did I answer your question?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever asked you this, but I would love to hear about how did you come into this knowledge or this iteration of yourself? What's been your journey on a personal level using style?
Yeah. So interesting. I feel like I have to go. I won't tell you like the whole every step of the way, but just to kind of give context, I grew up with very fashionable. So my grandparents in Mexico were total fashionistas. My mother is from Mexico, and her whole family, everyone sort of the circle, the environment that was in Mexico City was very high fashion, affluent, just very stylish. There was a lot of, and my grandfather was a tailor. So he taught me about fit. And I was always observing how amazingly he dressed, how amazingly my grandmother dressed. They were both into looking amazing and smashing and elegant, and at the same time really honoring their uniqueness. Like my grandfather was like, I don't care what brand it is, if it fits me and it's amazing, or it fits you and it's amazing and it makes you feel like powerful or however you want to feel, that's all that counts. So I really took that on, and at the same time, because I felt like I couldn't match the standards, because I happened to have a very beautiful family. My mom, my grandparents, they were all kind of known for being so beautiful at the same time, right? So it was intimidating because I had very low confidence. The way I saw myself wasn't very flattering. It wasn't really lovely. And so I sort of immediately made myself inferior. I shrunk myself. So I would help a lot of other people, and I would sort of pour all of my creativity into my sister, my cousins, my every single college roommate I ever had, every roommate I ever had got a makeover. Right? The neighbors, like literally I had neighbors in the US, because I mostly grew up in the US. They would pay me like $2 to make them over for a date or to cut their hair or whatever. Grown ass adults, And I'm like 12 years old giving this woman a makeover to meet a rich guy or whatever. And so I expressed it that way. And at the same time, I was like, I have to do something in my world. Like, this is just kind of fluffy. I had to do something like get a college degree, make a lot of money, save everyone, be rich and be respectable and all these things, And so along the way, corporate stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then we left the United States, and I was like, I get to now, because we live in the middle of nowhere in the country in France, in the countryside. And I'm preggers with my first child. what do I actually want to do? Like, we're just in the middle of fucking nowhere. I can do whatever I want. No family obligations, no corporate job. What do I actually want to do? And so I was like, I've always wanted to do this coaching thing. Let's do it. So I started on the coaching journey. I tried to fit in there, tried to be a normal coach, tried to, like, for new moms, for expats, all this shit. And still the style thing kept coming up. And so I was like, okay, then I sort of, at the same time, I was attuned to Reiki. And that really helped me understand, whoa, that was the first time I had very direct contact with my energetic, I don't want to say prowess, but sort of what I was working with. Like, I knew I had it, but I didn't have a semi-tangible, structured, like, something that showed, whoa, this, I have something, right? So this will come into the elements and how I work now. So I was like, okay, the energy thing, like, I was starting to, practice Reiki on people, and noticing, like, people were actually getting physical responses. Like, I had people saying, like, it feels like you're touching my heart, like, actual heart physically, like, all these weird things, amazing stuff. So I was like, this is not what I want to do, but I know this is a piece of it. And through the Reiki work, because it works with the chakras, I started understanding, okay, oh, interesting, the chakra, the solar plexus chakra, that's about fire, and fire is about will, and fire is about, like, the strength and confidence that you need to, like, execute something, and there's a fierceness about it, right? And then, like, this person's heart chakra, they're blocking off love. Like, I started connecting the dots. And as I continued parallel to this with my coaching business, I was like, what if I just own that I want to do style? And what if I just owned that I have this energy? At the time, it was, like, really taboo to be like, I'm woo woo. And so I was like, what if I just come out as woo, and I just start playing with that, help people, like, understand how they dress as the elements. So it started sort of evolving in that way. And it was when I really understood the crown, chakra. And I was like, that is space, right? Because a lot of people work with air, water, and earth, but the space one, even visually in different style systems, I was like, that, not that I was looking for something that was missing, but I was like, that is something that takes us to the next level that I know is unique, because it really, when you combine two of the elements, that really speaks to people. So it kind of happened naturally. Little pieces and clues came in real time. The timeline is, you know how it is, whoop, like this and like that, and like whoop. Yeah, you're like in the quantum field, apparently, because the timeline is all over the place. But that was the long and short of it. That's how it kind of evolved.
Yeah. What's fascinating about that is we think that our gifting is just like, we're going to be born with it, right? And it's just there all the time. But most of the time we can't see it. So it's really fascinating that you were even in an environment that was so conducive to your genius being expressed. It's like the number of people that I know who have that, like, creative spark, who were born in environments that were like, no, college degree,
yeah,
become a doctor or a lawyer,
yes.
right? And then have to go through an unpacking. But even still, you were affected, like, the programming at large that still had that effect on you, and still had to go through, like, this journey of returning back to your core, your essence, your genius, right? So
Definitely.
even you weren't immune from that, despite the fact that you grew up in an environment that was like, we're going to pay you for your genius at 12 years old.
And I was like, this is just my side hustle so I can buy those tennis shoes that my mom can't afford. I'm going to get myself the K-Swiss with all these haircuts.
It's so funny because I can relate to that so much, because at 12, my friend, who we have same name, she gifted me a tarot deck, and I started doing tarot readings at 12 for kids in my middle school who wanted to know, like, am I going to end up dating so-and-so, right? And of course, it got really creepy really fast, because I would be doing these spreads and I would be seeing, like, the abuse that was happening at home, or I would be seeing, like, really heavy stuff. I've just always been a very deep and, like, let's, like, deal with, like, the taboo stuff really, really early. And I also went through that journey of, like, no, I have to get the college degree, and I have to da-da-da.
Yep.
The other thing that's really interesting to me, so I'd love your perspective on this. I've been thinking a lot around, why is it that we downplay the value, let's call them the feminine arts, right? Mm-hmm. Beauty, fashion, anything that isn't dominated by men, but even still, like in fashion in particular, right? When you have a man who's in the space, automatically he's, like, worshipped, right? Like, so many of the designers who are men, we automatically lift them up. But we have such a negative look on cooking and housekeeping, and all of those things are like not seen as even an art, right? They're just seen as superficial. What's your perspective on why that is?
Yeah, and what the first thing that comes to mind is just the binary nature of the illusion of the 3D, and that's just what was programmed in at a certain point in history, and that's just once you're indoctrinated, as we know, into the illusion, you only see what you can see, and you only I remember just even working with a client and realizing because she was talking about how she was noticing her like built-in like misogyny and she wanted to heal it. And I was like, snappity snap, because ditto, right? Because from very on, we're taught if you're a woman, it's kind of silly, it's cute, whatever, but it can't really be taken seriously, you know? And so you kind of brush it off. You're like, I can do it, but I mean, it's not taken seriously, whatever. So I feel like because it's the 3D and the illusion, it's all about dichotomy. It's all about being polarizing. It's all about good, bad, right, and wrong. So the good category has happened to be, I feel like that it's shifting in so many ways right now, right? But very straightforwardly, you know, men and male dominated fields. And if a man is in a female dominated field, then that's cool. And it gives even more credibility, right? Like the chef thing, or like you said, the designer thing. It feels like even the whole, what's the binary thing, the separation is starting to melt and start being deconstructed right now. So honestly, I just think it's been a lot of people operating from ego for many years and just buying into exactly what they were indoctrinated into and not questioning it, because you don't even know you're supposed to question it. That's just the way it is. And energetically, the tides are shifting and there's no resisting it, as we've seen. Like things are changing in every single area. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's my take.
Yeah, yeah. I have a similar take as well, where we've unknowingly, unconsciously glorified all that is masculine, and anything
Yep.
that is feminine, therefore enough, doesn't have value. It's just kind of like unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
But from my perspective, the more that I've gotten into, we'll call them the feminine arts, or just art, period, right? Because really all of them are connecting to the creative spirit, which
Yeah.
is your connection to the feminine energy, right? It is yin. It is
Yeah.
your yin energy. And we use lots of terms for this, but any creative outlet really is connected to our feminine aspect, our yin energy. And the
Absolutely.
more that I've like allowed myself permission to dive into any of those, like the way that I keep my home, the way that I cook food, instead of being, you know, very strategic about everything that I eat, really allowing myself creativity through the cooking, the way that I've like really immersed myself. I mean, since we work together, the levels to which I have immersed myself in understanding myself through beauty and fashion, because I had that connection as a kid and kind of suppressed it in order to be the smart girl, in order to
Yep.
be the high achieving, get the good grades, da 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 da. And now I'm bringing her back. I mean, I know you've got to be so proud of me,
I'm
right?
so proud of you, Makhosi.
With my like full, like this is like full on space
Oh, you're spacing out and I love it. Yes.
today. You can't see the
Love it.
whole shebang, but I'm very
I
spaced
love
out
it.
right
I
now.
love it.
It's literally, it's glamour magic, but it's not glamour magic with the intention of fooling people or really anything externally. It's like glamour magic with the purpose of coming home to my essence. Like when you ever are talking to people about the importance of how they present through energetic styling, energetic fashion, right? Why do you feel it's so important that people, man or woman
Yeah.
or trans, any non-binary,
Yep.
anyone, why do you feel that it's so important that people give themselves permission to
Yes.
dive into this realm?
And I love it because it connects exactly with what you were saying. Like the segue is chef's kiss, as they say nowadays, the youths, right? So what you were just talking about, right? Like why do we reject the feminine arts? Sort of the second part that I would have said that I love, it came out when you were speaking, is when we're in the 3D, when we're in the illusion, when we're focused, hyper focused on the masculine, which is the doing, it's amazing. Why? Because we forget our magic. We are actively, purposely distracted from our fucking magic, namely women who have more of a direct and easy connection right? Or have in history, witchcraft, all those things, which is very scary because someone who actually understands that they are magical, someone who actually understands that they're the fucking universe and that they're connected to all there is and all there ever will be and all there ever has been, that's a powerful MFer. You can't control somebody who knows who the fuck they are. You can't control an icon. You can't control someone who knows they're the universe. So, right? So that's what's been happening, right? Keeping everyone in the masculine, do. You have to do this to get that. You have to do this to get that. In the feminine arts, like you're saying, right? Beauty, the glamour, the magic, right? Glamour magic. Literally, things get to happen. You are connected because you are source and you understand your source, and things can literally just pop on into your field without all the fucking doing. So life becomes easy peasy lemon squeezy. And the illusion fucking hates that.
Because goals, like you have to have goals so that we can keep you distracted and keep you doing the things that we want you to be doing. Exactly. It's so funny because a lot of people don't perceive the work that we do as like revolutionary or like rebellious. But from my perspective, this is the kind of work helping people to reconnect to their essence, to their core, to their connection with source is the most revolutionary thing, because just one person who is connected can create change far beyond what 1,000 people doing what they're told, doing what they're expected to do could ever imagine. And we can do it with less perceived resources, right? Like the amount of magic that my clients have been able to experience and just magnetize to them. I'm talking like NASA opportunities, TED Talks, literally millions of dollars just coming to them through their connection, right? It's so powerful. Oh my gosh, I love it. So I want to really dive into your system, because what I love about your system is it's, number one, based in nature, and number two, intuitive, right?
Yep.
It isn't a prescriptive box that you're putting people into. It is an intuitive process. So share a little bit with us about your
Yes, so I call it the iconic essence system, framework, method, whatever you want to call it. So essentially, the elements, air, water, fire, earth, and space, right? Everyone here on planet Earth in this lifetime, I operate under the premise that this is just a little visit we're having, right? There's an essence that's been traveling through time and space intergalactically. We are, right? And just right now it happens to have landed on Earth, and we are human, right? And so as we're here, we get to remember that we're more. Our brain can start to, I'm just I'm energy having a human experience, or I'm God just here on Earth as an avatar, whatever. Cognitively, people are like, yeah, I get that, but people don't really remember, no, right? So air, water, fire, earth, and space, what I've sort of come to know is that each person here right now leads with two of these elements, right? Like you, gorgeous, amazing, magical Makhosi, fire and space, right? And so those characteristics of each of the two elements, they inform sort of how you show your essence, right? How it expresses visually, how you embody things, how you move through this world, and also how eventually you can connect cosmically more effortlessly without figuring things out. Why? Because your elements, they come together and they start, because the characteristics of the elements, inevitably, every single client I've ever had, I've had hundreds of clients from all over the world, they inevitably are resisting every fucking time. They're resisting either one of the elements entirely, like for example, fire. You have both of them that people resist the most, actually. Space and fire. So space is very avant-garde. Space can be very androgynous. It can be very unnerving. It's the visionary, innovative, really out there energy. I'm space as well. And I resisted it like a motherfucker. I was like, I just want to be normal, right? So people will start trying to act normal, try to be organized and like understandable and relatable and all these things to avoid these aspects of their space. Fire is edgy. Fire loves taking risks. It's sexy. It's dangerous. It is a disruptor. It will burn shit down, right? For big change on the planet. People are scared of that on all the levels, right? And especially with the dress, with clothing. So what happens, these two come together and they open up a magical portal, right? So the person gets to start experimenting. Man, fire. I've been ignoring my fire. I'm going to start I'm going to wear that sexy dress. I'm going to wear the sexy lingerie. Maybe I'm going to, whatever sexy looks like too, because it's different for everyone. That's the thing. I'm giving keywords, and I love to give more keywords than I do visuals because everyone's interpretation is theirs, right? So what's sexy to one person whose fire is not going to be sexy to someone else. There are key markers, but they express differently. So I'm going to wear this dress that makes me feel fucking sexy. I'm going to wear it to go to the coffee shop, right? And there's something activating about finally allowing those parts of yourself that you've been hiding and trying to like stuff back and edit and censor, allowing them to come out. Suddenly, when you let out the sexiness from your fire and the weirdness from you, right? Like maybe you're very conceptual of your space and you actually finally say that weird thing. Suddenly you're in truth. When you're in truth, right? That clothing, it's that first activation. You're like, you start remembering who you are. It jolts you awake. Oh, it gives me goosebumps just talking about it. So it jolts you awake, right? And from there, you start moving differently. Suddenly you can receive, because you're channel when you're in truth, and it starts with the dressing because it's easy and it's accessible and it's immediate. You start hearing things more clearly. You start understanding, what's an actual, thing you're supposed to follow. And your brain and your ego start losing their stronghold as you continue to do this. And you build trust with iconic you, the truth of who you are, the true you, right? Not your ego. You start taking back the power from the human ego, and you start really listening to it's batshit crazy a lot of times. We know this, Makhosi, the guidance, this is what you're supposed to do next. Nope, say no to that. Sometimes it feels very illogical, and ego gets really, even with the outfits, I'm supposed to wear that. Yeah, you're supposed to wear that. That's the fuck yeah, let's do this. And suddenly some door opens up. So you get this amazing client or this opportunity, and it's like, what the fuck, right? That's why I say, like, the magic, it starts with one hashtag coded outfit. So essentially that's what we do. We do the attunement with your clothing after you start understanding and allowing your two elements, your full, right, expression to start coming forward. You start expressing. The more you express, the more you trust, the more you can start embodying. And then the more eventually you connect to truth and you're in your fullest essence.
Okay. Could you share a little bit more? I mean, I know you broke down fire and space, and you're right. Okay. Space was the one. So whenever we met, fire was my go-to, and it's taken a lot for me to embrace my space and really get in touch with how that shows up. And yes, some of it is very weird. Like lately it's been very antique, like Victorian boots and Renaissance looking outfits, right? But also a lot of like kind of like goddessy silhouettes, right? It's like that ether coming through. Could you share a little bit more about the other three elements, air, earth, and water?
Absolutely. So air is like, if you just imagine springtime, right? Air, if you imagine the wind, like it swirls, it's unexpected, right? It's very playful. It's very childlike. There's an innocence to air. So it's bright colors, and it can be like, I'm air. And so I love like bows, right? But then it has a little spacey weirdness because it's like, pleather, and it has like the little dom hook, whatever. So it's a little bit, and also heart earrings. That's a big air thing. Hearts, bows, and all the cute little stuff, like rounded collars and things like that. That's all very air. Air is about fun. Air brings sort of levity and playfulness and even comedy, humor, wit to really heavy, dense situations, which is a beautiful superpower of airs, right? So it's bright, and it's very air with fire, the two most extroverted of the elements. So it's out just flying around. And bright. And then water. So water, if you think of a drop of water, like water is always looking for the deepest point, right? A drop of water will keep on falling into a crack, and then another crack, and then into the roots. And so water is very introverted. It's very slow. It cares about comfort and things that are soft and comforting. I call it warm hug energy, comforting to the touch. It's very soothing. It's very deep feeling. So water, will love things with movement. It loves layers, like layered necklaces and, things in teardrop shapes and, things that just feel like waves and water, right? Scarves, things that are kind of delicate. So super delicate, tiny little, bracelets and things like that. And that's how they'll feel really, just like warm hug energy. And water's superpowers really helping, not only expressing the human experience and the feelings that come with that and intuition as well, but helping others do the same, helping others feel seen, helping others feel witnessed, and helping them, get to a point of healing. Those are water superpowers. And then earth. So earth, if you think of earth, like it is steady, it is grounded. That's the other word I use for earth. Grounded, reliable. So when it comes to earth, personal style, it's very timeless. It's going to be a lot of times like chic, classic cuts. Those pieces that it's like a jacket that an earth buys. It's in style now and it'll be in style in 20 years. And again, in 40 years, it will never go out of style because it's so timeless, right? They love craftsmanship. So a pair of earth shoes might last them their whole lifetime because they've been handmade in Italy or some shit, right? And they're like, it's an investment piece, $1,000. I'll wear them for the rest of my life, right? Earth also, what's fun is animal prints. So lots of, because it's about earth, bold contrast. So it could be like black and white with a pop of, a red bag. Like we've all seen those outfits, right? The businesswoman with the, white shirt, black, power suit, and then red lipstick and a red handbag.
Yeah.
That's like, and the pop of color, just a pop, just a reasonable pop. That's very, very earth. And earth is amazing at being the expert. So really taking very complicated knowledge, simplifying it, helping people implement systems, helping things so they can help all the elements, like ground things in and bring them into the earth in a very logical, very strategic way.
Yeah. It's funny because whenever we met, I was showing up as earth, right? Lots of earth energy, right? Really wanting to be seen as reliable, organized, very practical, pragmatic.
Yep.
And so that gets me a little curious. Maybe you could share a little bit about what are the shadows? What are the shadows of each of the elements? How are they, if you're not attuned? I want to say, I don't want to put a number on it, but I'm going to put a number. I want to say like 98, 99% of people are not really attuned, right? Even myself as someone who, is a spiritualist, was not really attuned. So what are the shadows of each of the elements?
Yeah, definitely. And the shadows, so that's why the thing is, the crazy thing is, even if you're spiritual, even if you are creating magic and you're magical, ego is still constructing your identity. Ego's still trying to tell you who you're supposed to be in order to get to be taken seriously or make more money or be loved or whatever the fuck. Like everything goes through ego. And so the shadow expressions of your elements, they're going through the ego filter, right? So for air, so air can be very scattered and confused because if you're in an ego, that means you're probably just relying on your brain, which is very easy for air. So you're probably existing in this part of your head and you're constantly feeling overwhelmed, scattered, unreliable, a little bit flaky, a hard time making decisions because you're literally, it's like you're buzzing like a hummingbird. And air can also not have a fear of coming off, but also because of that, come off as ditzy or superficial or not that smart, not that reliable if you're in shadow, because also with all that fluttering, there can come anxiety and other things, forgetting things because you're wrapped up in your brain. And so you can even be clumsy, like all of that shows up for air, right? And wanting to seem smart or wanting to seem credible and you're trying to figure out how to do that, but it makes you seem even less so because you're just caught up in your brain. So that's definitely air shadow. For water, if you think of water, like it can get leaky real quick, right? So boundaries for water will very easily become a victim. Very easily, right? I call it kind of like the swampy feminine, like the water can easily become a victim, like drowning in their emotions and be like, I don't know what to do, that's right? And thinking that they have to do all this work in order to swim their way up. It's not true though. They could just become a mermaid and navigate that, right? But the shadow will tell you, I feel too much. I'm also too intense. People are going to think I'm too intense. I'm too much emotionally. I'm too draining. Also, the whole overgiving thing, that's a big, actually for air in a different way, because air is a people pleaser. So they'll overgive to people please and be liked. Water will be trying to save someone, right? Victim, savior. So water can get caught up in victim, savior. Very easy peasy. Those are the main ones for water. Fire, because it is the most extroverted and afraid of getting hurt, right? Fire, because everything is very intense with fire. A fire in shadow will, before they get hurt, they will burn all the bridges, say fuck you to everyone, flip over all the tables, just so that they don't get hurt. They're like, there, I did it. Everyone's out of my life. I hurt them before they hurt me, right? Check. Fully on. Yes. And dragon mode. So, and fire will also, kind of overdo it, right? To protect themselves. Also, fire, because fires are so good at doing, being productive because you can take on so much. It can be burnout city, and a lot of mindless, like just tasks to make you feel productive. That keeps you from hearing what's actually trying to come in. Amazing at like task, like my mom is a fucking fiery taskmaster, and that's who I grew up with. We got a lot of shit done. But was she listening? Was she connecting? No. Was she burning bridges with every fucking buddy? That is correct. Getting a lot of bills paid, errands run, and then feeling exhausted? Yes. And so actually one coach I knew, she's actually pretty huge now, but she I remember a few years ago, probably, she's definitely operating in fire, and actually was hospitalized. And I was like, that's a fire burnout, baby. Yeah. Yeah. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you need to. Earth. Now, Earth can be, it's black and white, right? So Earth, because it's the bold contrast of the Earth, it's so stable, so steady, that it can kind of collapse in on itself. Meaning, it sees, I need to do this. I want to do this. I have a checklist. I have this plan. I have this book I want to do. And then just imagine like a hoarder just hoarding plans and ideas and all these things, not like in a swirly way, but just in a way that eventually you're like in this hoardy house, like where you can't move, and you almost like the floor breaks. You're just like frozen, right? That's definitely Earth. Earth can think that it's very boring because it is so practical and because it is the expert. And in Shadow also, it can want to sort of one up everyone. Like, I know this and this and this and this and this, right? And kind of overcompensate, overdo it with trying to be the expert. Yeah. And then space basically can feel so out of touch, so misunderstood, so not relatable that it retreats, totally retreats. And one of the biggest shadows of space is actually just trying to be normal and disconnecting from their mystic nature, disconnecting from their innovative nature, from their visionary nature, and just really like going to get like really ignoring what they know to just appease the humans, to just be normal. And it can feel that it makes them feel empty. It makes them feel right, like lost, frustrated. Yeah. Yeah. And also there's the fear of, I don't want to share anything because I'm so unique and I know it's so like no one's ever done this or seen this before. They're either going to think I'm crazy or they're going to steal it from me, and then I won't be the unique one. That's a big shadow fear.
Unique. What's funny though, as a space person, 1000% I can relate to that. The uniqueness piece though is anytime, because I've had people try to steal, and I had such a fear of that. And when it actually started happening, you could see how it just didn't work. Like, because there's such a uniqueness to you when you are space, it really can't be copied, even if they take everything from you, right? Like literally duplicate your images and duplicate your branding and talk the same things you talk about, because it's not their essence. Like they can't do it. And even other space people can't do it, right? Because there's such there's such like this ethereal etherness to people that is so this sounds bad, but it's just off from being human, right? It's so like extraterrestrial that humans can't copy it.
They just can't.
Our human can't copy it.
They can't. And actually, hilariously, I had an earth fire person, literally a process I took her through, like when she was my client, I had a person who was her client came to work with me, and unbeknownst to me, she had done the exact same process to that woman who became my client. And she was like, wait a minute, it's not quite, I see that it's exactly the same thing, but it's just not hitting the same way, So yes. And that's the thing, like, why try to go and swipe something from someone else? And also space and shadow, why even fear that when you are uncopyable? We all are, actually. We all are. Yeah.
So
no need. Just tap into your essence. Mm-hmm.
But people do get really caught up, and all of us do this, right? We get caught up in thinking that it's the external thing. It's like the external expression that someone else has. And we're like, that must be what works because it's working for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not realizing it's working for them because that's their blueprint, right? Like that's their energetic code. And so when they're tapped into it, it works for them. But that's not your code. Right? There might be some, sometimes there are similarities, right? And some people get really up in arms when they're like, oh my gosh, these two people are using the same words. Well, there might be some connection. There might be some similarity in one aspect of your blueprint, right? But it's the unique combination the unique amalgamation
Yeah.
of all of these things coming together that you need to unlock for yourself in order to create your magic in the world. And sometimes you can see that reflected in other people and you're like, oh, like that's me. And
Yeah.
that's magical when you do that, but also not taking it too far to try and copy every aspect that you
Yeah,
see.
exactly. I love that you're saying that because this is something I've definitely clarified for people. It's like people are like, "Oh, but I admire this person," and now you're telling me I'm whatever. I just discovered I'm air and water, and they're fire and space. Like, why? But I really admire them. I'm really drawn to them. And I explain, like, you're not. You're yes, you're drawn to them because they're in truth. They're expressing their essence. They're like right. They're doing it, and that's what's appealing to you. So you get to do that same thing, but in your coded way. You're going to provoke that. You're going to evoke that in someone else as well, right? Even if it's not in the same exact way. So people, I think the ego gets wrapped up and they're like, let's just grab these like working parts that they're doing and it's going to work for me, right? This is where we have to lift off. And as I like to say, stop, drop an icon. And you say, okay, what am I actually attracted to? What is actually interesting or what is actually appealing or what's actually making me buzz or, right, waking me up? The fact that this person's in truth. Okay, beautiful, right? Not I have to be try to be copy them. Yeah.
Yeah. How can someone find their iconic essence?
Yeah. It's not even finding it. So I really see it as like we all have the router and we have the code, right? The Wi-Fi code, but it's been turned off and it's been hidden. It's probably still in the packaging. So it's literally about just remembering, right? You open the package and you turn it on, you're like, fuck. And it was plugged in the whole time. I just had to switch it on and put in the right code, right? Which iconic you knows. So your iconic essence, it's really a process of starting to do the little things that allow you to be fully expressed, like we said with your outfits, right? Those are the first steps to start the attunement. And then secondly, understanding when ego's trying to interject and when you're actually hearing truth, right? Understanding the difference between those two sources. One is what is that? The worm tongue or whatever, right? The evil counselor, advisor who wants to take over the throne, right? And the other one is literally you, just in your cosmic form. So it's like remembering, the more you can remember that you are the icon, the more you can remember and actually operate in this way in your day and just be observing like the human experience instead of immersing in it. You wake up more and more. You start noticing more and more how glaringly obvious it is that this is all just a big silly game. And you've been the essence and the icon and the universe all along. Yeah.
So you shared some keywords, but could you share a little bit around how the different elements might express and how you can bring them together, right? Because I think sometimes we can get a feel for what you're talking about, but how do we put that together?
Yeah. And this is something that happens a lot too, where people are like, they seem like fire and water. Seems like they're total opposites, right? So how do I bring them together? So brain loves trying to figure things out. Ego wants you to try to figure something out, which is always the first obstacle when people discover this. They're like, okay, but how do I put it together? How do I combine it? How do I blend it? You don't combine it. You don't put it together. You don't blend it. You start actually acknowledging and talking to both. That's the thing. Every element is a consciousness. And then when yours come together, there's another consciousness, right? So the first step I would invite everyone to do is you can start playing with your clothes and you can literally start talking. Like if you notice, you know what, I've been defaulting, like I've been operating as just, for example, me, I'll just say air. I want to give my space more of a voice like you did, Makhosi, right? I want to give my space more of a voice. So I want it to understand. So you can literally, when you're in the shower, when you're cooking, pooping, walking, driving, whatever, you can just be like, hey, space, please show yourself. Please show me your wisdom. Please share I want to give you your rightful place in my energetic makeup, in my life, in my essence. Can you just remind me? Just remind me. You can just ask it little things, right? Can you help me pick out my outfit today, space? Just dress us today, space. You could, in your journaling, right? You can just ask it questions. Space, what do you want me to know? Space, what's something about you that I haven't become aware of yet? Right? And you do that. You can also do that with your other element. And they kind of just eventually start, once they're both in your field, once they're both understanding like that they're welcome, they'll start kind of doing their own thing. And then before you know it, you'll be like, I didn't even try to bring in more space or more air or whatever. And my outfit, I can actually pick it apart. And here's what space about it. And here's what air about is air about it, right? So it boils down to getting to know them, understanding that their consciousnesses, asking them questions, welcoming them in, and then starting to listen to your fuck yeah. The more you listen to your fuck yeah, to that truth that comes in, shit, this weird outfit, this is what I'm supposed to wear to this networking event. the bright pink dress with the like grass green jacket. Okay, let's do it. And you go to that event, right? As iconic you, because when they merge, they create something new, which is iconic, your iconic essence. You get a 5 or 6 figure client, right? Or you're introduced to someone who gets you a TV opportunity, all because of that iconic outfit, right? So it's like listening, trying to listen to that. Fuck yeah. That's how you really start living this way.
Yeah. I think also we have a tendency to, maybe we hear it, right? We hear the voice,
Yeah.
but we don't always follow through. And the more that I've noticed, like literally last week, obviously I run my business from home and now I'm homeschooling. So I'm like hashtag mom all the time.
Yeah.
And the other, literally it was last week, I wore like a sequin skirt,
I
a
love that.
sequin kind of pencil, like it was like space, but it also had that like fire sexiness to it. And then
Yeah.
a kind of like chiffon long sleeve. So it was also space material, but kind of sexy because it was like a little see-through.
Yeah.
And I wore that to work from home. He was at camp. Literally the only thing I did the entire day was get out of my car, walk in to get him, and get back in the car. Literally, we're talking, in feet. And in that short period of time, met someone, and because of what I was wearing, popped off with a business connection, right? An opportunity to work together. That's how this works. It's like, was it the most logical thing to wear that day?
Nope.
No, actually, probably the most logical thing would have been what everyone kind of just defaults to when you're at home, either pajamas or athleisure. By the way, those can definitely still be coded in your essence, but that day I listened, right? And that day I was rewarded for listening, right? It's like I was magnetic because I followed through on that. And
yes,
the more you do it, the more you get those pieces of evidence.
Exactly, because here's the thing. Ego wants to make it seem like, oh God, I'm going to be too much, or this makes no logical sense. People are going to think I'm like an attention whore or whatever, right? Here's the thing though. Everything, when you get a hit, no matter what it is, and you listen to it, right? Why would it be any different from an outfit than go and call this client, right? It's the same fucking thing. It's part of your unfolding. So if this is the outfit that you're being instructed to wear and it activates you and you know that this is what you're meant to wear, it, that's a sign that it's helping your unfolding. It's helping the magic. It's like, it's doing part of the work. You didn't have to go and like email 27 people to try to get one connection. You fucking got it because you wore a sequin skirt, because you listened. That's it.
Right. Literally that simple, that easy.
Yes.
As we're wrapping up, is there any final thing that we didn't get to touch on that you really would like to share?
Oh, let's see. I mean, we touched on a lot and it's been beautiful and I love this conversation. I would just maybe reiterate like those hits, those little nudges, those little whispers, those knowings that come in. If you just listen to them, your entire life will change. Everything will change. And a beautiful, easy way to practice that and building that trust with those whispers, which I call iconic you, right? Coming from iconic you. Just what if you just started like playing in your closet? Like it's a way to build trust and to start understanding what truth is. Not my truth, right? That's ego, but just actual truth. And the adventure of it, like how it gets wacky, it gets weird, it gets sexy, it gets, out of the ordinary. But what if you just allowed yourself to play there, start trusting and start listening? Like the whole world, everything would be so much easier if everyone just listened to what they know. So I guess I'm just inviting you to know what you know and start showing yourself that you know what you know through your outfits, and just notice how your world changes, how your experience of yourself changes, just the magical serendipitous shit that starts making the connection when you just start trusting, even risking trusting that voice just with an outfit.
I love that so much. I think so many of us get caught up, again, because we come from an egoic place that is centered around, oh, I need to do.
Yeah.
Taking something like getting dressed, which you kind of got to do every day anyway, and allowing for it to be the space where every morning I'm going to listen, I'm going to tune in, I'm going to connect with myself. I got to do this anyway. Give myself the space to connect with me. And that can be your ritual. Like it doesn't have to be a whole big to do, like the ice bath bros where it's like you got to get up at 4 a.m. and then you got to meditate for an hour and then you got to get in the ice bath and then you've got to jog 3 miles, right? Like,
and read 100 books a month. Yeah.
Right. Like it doesn't have to be all that.
No.
This is part of your nature. All you have to do is open to it. All you have to do is receive it. All you have to do is be it and allow it to come forth. It's not about like all the things that you need to do.
Exactly. Thank you. I love
So
that.
good.
Beautifully
So
summed
good.
up. Yes.
Where can people find you? Where can they learn more?
You can learn more on the old Instagram, The Way of the Icon, Facebook. I believe I'm just Eyenie Schultz on Facebook. And I have a free Facebook group. Oh, and you can learn more. You can take my free quiz.
We love free quizzes.
We love
Everyone
free
loves them.
quizzes. So it is at this moment called the Iconic Brand Quiz, because I sort of packages up as like not your personal brand, but it's like your essence brand, right? Your cosmic brand. So it's a beautiful entry point, and I would invite you turn off your brain, and actually let Iconic you let those whispers answer. They won't make sense, the answers to your brain. The brain won't like them, but trust that, and you'll get a result. You can take it twice and get your results for your 2 elements, and just see if there are parts of you that you've been resisting in the descriptions and in the keywords and the Pinterest boards. Just go and have a little explore, a little.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate having you here. It's been so much fun. Of course, always it's going to be fun when we're talking about things that we love and things that bring us home to us. And
Yeah.
I hope that everyone listening goes and takes the quiz. You're just going to learn so much about yourself, and be prepared for this beautiful unfolding. Allow yourself, if some emotions come up, because I found it to be very emotional to be in this process, let that release and allow yourself permission to embody your essence. And with that, I will have you join us next time on Euphoric Evolution.